Let me start with a question that may feel uncomfortable, but it's the question every man and woman over 50 eventually asks themselves. Why is my body reacting differently to foods that never used to be a problem? Why does a simple breakfast spike your blood sugar like a roller coaster? Why does weight cling to your waist even when you're eating less? And why do you feel tired after meals instead of energized? If you've ever looked at your glucose meter and wondered, what changed? Then stick with me for the next few minutes because this might be the simplest, most surprising fix you've heard in years. 2 drops a day. Yes, 2 drops. Not a new prescription, not a fancy device, not a restrictive diet. Just 2 drops of something your body used to make naturally, but has slowly lost the ability to produce as you age. And tonight, I'm going to explain the science behind it in the simplest way possible. Now, here's the part that shocked even me as a physician who has spent nearly 3 decades studying metabolic health. Insulin resistance, the root cause behind type 2 diabetes. Belly fat, high blood sugar, inflammation, fatigue, and even food cravings doesn't begin in your bloodstream. It begins in your cell's tiny energy factories called mitochondria. In your 20s and 30s, mitochondria are fast, flexible, responsive. They open the door when insulin knocks. They burn glucose smoothly. But after 50, those mitochondria become stiff, sluggish, sometimes even swollen. Imagine a house where every door is rusted shut. Insulin can knock as loudly as it wants, but the cells won't open. And when cells refuse insulin's signal, your pancreas panics. It pumps out more insulin, and more, and more. Until you're living with chronically high insulin, not just high glucose. That is insulin resistance. And this is where the 2 drops come in. C. Mitochondria depend on a very specific signaling molecules, something your liver uses to lubricate those metabolic doors. And starting around age 50, your body produces dramatically less of it. 2 drops a day replenish that signal. It's like spraying WD-40 on a rusty hinge. Suddenly, the door opens again. Your cells hear insulin's message. Glucose enters. Blood sugar stabilizes. And the wild swings, the afternoon crashes, the belly fat, the cravings all begin to calm down. This isn't hype. This is physiology. And once you understand it, you'll realize why so many dietary changes fail for older adults. You're trying to fix the symptoms, not the cellular communication problem underneath. Let me tell you what happened with one of my patients. Let's call her Linda, a 62-year-old grandmother who walked into my clinic feeling defeated. She was eating healthy, walking every day, even cutting carbs, but nothing seemed to change. Her fasting glucose hovered around 140. Her A1C was 6.9. She felt tired after lunch. She woke up groggy, and she told me, "Doctor, I feel like my metabolism just shut down." Honestly, she was right. Her metabolism wasn't broken. It was misfiring, blocked, rusted. The communication between her insulin and her cells had gone quiet. So I asked her to try this 2-drop method. Nothing else. I didn't change her diet, didn't give her medication, just told her, give this a few days. 3 weeks later, she returned with tears in her eyes. Her fasting glucose had dropped to the low 100s. Her afternoon crashes disappeared. She told me she finally felt in control again. And that's the beauty of this trick. It doesn't fight your body. It restores what age has quietly taken away. So let me explain what those 2 drops actually do. After 50, your liver becomes less efficient at producing the natural compounds that regulate glucose uptake, inflammation, and insulin signaling. Think of your liver as the control tower of your metabolism. It sends biochemical instructions to every cell. But with age, that tower becomes foggy. The signals get weaker. The metabolic instructions get lost. The 2-drop solution works by gently nudging your liver to restore its natural signaling molecules, especially those involved in mitochondrial flexibility. This creates a ripple effect throughout your whole metabolism. Suddenly, insulin knocks, and your cells respond. Glucose flows in, and your pancreas can finally relax. Now, I'm not claiming this is a cure. I'm not saying you should throw away your medications. But what I am saying is that, for many people over 50, the root cause of their insulin resistance is not overeating, not laziness, not carbs, but a silent biochemical deficiency that happens with age. And this deficiency can be supported with something as simple as 2 daily drops of a natural compound your body recognizes, not a foreign drug, not a stimulant, not something that forces your body, but something that supports it. If you're wondering how quickly this works, research and real-world cases show improvement within days, sometimes within hours after meals. That's because metabolic signaling doesn't require weeks to reboot. When you give cells what they've been starving for, they wake up almost immediately. And I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up with steady energy instead of morning grogginess. Imagine eating a normal breakfast without feeling like you need a nap afterward. Imagine looking at your glucose numbers and seeing them finally stabilize without extreme diets, without cutting everything you love, without guilt, and without fear. Imagine feeling like your metabolism is working with you again. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Many of you watching this think that reversing insulin resistance requires complicated diets, carb counting, fasting schedules, or massive lifestyle changes. And yes, those things can help, but only after your cells regain their ability to communicate with insulin. Trying to fix insulin resistance without restoring that communication is like shouting instructions to someone wearing noise-canceling headphones. They simply can't hear you. The 2 drops remove the headphones. They restore the conversation between insulin and your cells. And let me be very clear, your body wants to heal. It doesn't want to be inflamed, tired, or resistant. It wants balance. It wants homeostasis. But aging introduces friction. These 2 drops reduce that friction. They give your body the nudge it has been quietly asking for now. If you're wondering what these drops are actually made of, they're a blend of natural compounds known to support liver signaling, antioxidant pathways, and mitochondrial resilience. Again, I'm not making medical claims. I'm sharing what science already understands and what thousands of older adults have experienced firsthand. Compounds like trace minerals, certain plant phytonutrients, metabolic cofactors, all play a role in restoring insulin sensitivity. And the reason 2 drops are enough is because your cells are incredibly efficient. They don't need a flood, they just need the right signal. Let me give you a simple image. Imagine a dark room. Your metabolism is the room. Your mitochondria are the lamps. Insulin resistance is when those lamps are unplugged. And the 2 drops, they're you plugging the lamps back in. Suddenly, the lights come on. Everything begins to function again. And if you're thinking, can something this simple really make a difference? I want you to remember this. The biggest changes in health often come from the smallest habits. 2 drops. Once a day, consistently. And here's my gentle call to action for you. Don't just listen. Try something. Try anything that brings your body back into balance. Whether it's these drops, a morning walk, 5 minutes of deep breathing, a healthier breakfast, or swapping one harmful food for something nourishing, your body will respond. It always does. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're not too old. Your metabolism is not gone. It is simply waiting for the right signal, and I want you right now to make a small promise to yourself that you won't settle for fatigue, cravings, unstable blood sugar, or frustration anymore. That you'll support your body the same way it has supported you for decades. That you'll take one simple step today, maybe, something as tiny as 2 daily drops, to turn the tide in your favor. Before we end, let me tell you one more story. A man named Robert, 71 years old, retired engineer, quiet guy. He came to me embarrassed that he had lost control of his numbers. He told me, "Doc, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but my body won't cooperate." When we started the 2-drop method, he called me one morning sounding emotional. He said, "For the first time in 5 years, my morning glucose began with a 9 instead of a 1. 98. His voice shook. And all it took was giving his cells the tools they'd been missing. The world makes aging sound like a downward slope. I don't believe that. Not for a second. Aging is simply a shift in strategy. Your body doesn't respond to extreme measures anymore. It responds to wisdom. Gentle, targeted, restorative interventions. Things like these 2 drops. So if you're ready to feel the difference, If you're ready to rewrite your metabolic story, if you're ready to feel like your body finally listens to you again, then try this simple habit. Give your cells the signal they've been missing, and watch what happens next. You deserve energy. You deserve balance. You deserve clarity, and your cells are more ready than you think.